Goodness, we're live. That's extraordinary. Looks like we're live, Jeff. Enfin,
Okay,
at last, as the French would say.
okay, great.
Okay, so folks, if you're joining us live on Facebook, we've had some technical stuff. Getting ourselves online, getting each other heard, trying to sort out pictures, etc., etc. But we're good to go now. And the what I should say is that when Facebook works, it's a fascinating platform, bringing people together from around the world, and it can lead to very rewarding relationships. I first connected with Jeff Sanders, a native of San Francisco, California, 3 to 4 years ago online. Over that time, I was struck by the sensitivity of his insights into race relations in the USA and came to recognize him as a man with a strong and positive sense of his identity as a Black American living in America. So years later, Jeff has moved to Ghana, is married to a Ghanaian woman, and together they have set up the Cape Coast Coffee House in, well, you guessed it, Cape Coast. Now, I'm a coffee farmer myself, so Jeff got my interest on that level. But it is his experience of setting up a business and moving to Ghana from the USA that I would love to find out more about. Why did he come to Africa and Ghana? What has been his experience? And what insights can he share with us about the way we live in Ghana and the world today? Jeff, thank you so much for making the time to join us today. How was the weekend? First question.
The weekend was really good at the coffee house. We had quite a few very, very interesting customers come in who sat with us, drank coffee, ate some of our food offerings, and it was a very enjoyable weekend at the coffee house, as well as here in Ghana. It was hot, but not oppressively so. Very, very good weekend for myself and my wife, Amina.
Terrific. Well, look, you've answered my second question. Now I was going to ask you about the weather. This morning at 2 o'clock, it was -2 in London and snowing. It didn't settle, wasn't cold enough for long enough, but yeah, you've got me in my feels and well and truly jealous already. But to my first main question, Jeff, why did you leave the States for Africa? I mean, what was your mission and purpose in moving to Ghana?
That's a frequently asked question for me, and I have many different ways of answering it. I don't feel that I left the States. I am here in Ghana, I'm living in Ghana, but I also maintain a residence and also do some small business activities in California. So I consider myself right now to be a person who's living in two countries. And I also consider myself lucky to be able to do that. I'd like to be able to come and go more frequently, and so that's a goal that we are working on, to be able to come and go more frequently. But currently, I'm living in both places. I haven't given up California.
That is a wonderful option and safety net, call it what you will, but it's nice to have access to both of
Yes.
your kind of life cohorts. So, what was the main motivator for getting you to half live in Ghana?
Uh, One of the main motivators was that I have friends in Ghana. I have
Okay.
friends who live in Ghana, persons who are retired from their professional careers, as I am in the U.S. They've
Mm.
moved back to Ghana.
Are
These
they
are
Americans
people,
also?
they are Ghanaians.
They're Ghanaians.
Ghanaians
Okay.
who have
Okay.
retired and moved back to Ghana. These are
Mm.
people I've known for 30, 40 years. So
Terrific.
I have several friends here who were able to help me to acclimate, help me to orient, help me to begin learning to live in Ghana, help me to begin learning to understand a little bit about Ghana. And I do believe that I only understand a small amount, but they
Sure.
helped me to be able to begin to function in Ghana.
It just goes to show how small the world is because
Yeah.
you started living in Ghana and California with these friends.
Yes.
And through their kind of shared insights and your relationship with them and so on and so forth, it's like you
Yes.
had a gentle descent into actually moving and living there in Ghana. But
Yes.
if your friends and family know about what you're doing, what do they say? You're drinking coffee.
Yes.
If your friends and family in California hear about you in Ghana, what do they say?
Ted, I began my life of travel when I was 12 years old. So anyone who
Okay.
knows me knows that travel has always been a part of my life. Truthfully, they'd say, "What took you so long to get to Ghana?"
So, okay, it's in your DNA.
Yes.
Um, but if 10 years ago somebody had said, you know what, Jeff, I can just see you living in Cape Coast in Ghana 10 years from now, you wouldn't have said you're crazy then.
No, but I might not have believed it if they had said it.
Sure.
For a long time in my life, it was a dream, and I didn't take it any further than a dream. I didn't set specific goals. I didn't make the moves necessary to bring me here. So
Mm.
even though somebody else may have seen this in my future, I was unable to see it 10 years ago and really didn't see it coming until after I began to come to Ghana, after I began to meet people in Ghana, and finally, and most importantly, after I met my wife.
That's wonderful. When was the first time you actually came to Ghana, and when did you actually move to Ghana to set up the Cape Coast Coffee House?
I first came to Ghana. I first came to Africa, which was Somalia, in 1981, worked in a refugee camp for 3 months. After that, I did not return to Africa until coming to Ghana some 30, 40 years later, 2014.
When was
I
that time
came,
you were in Somalia, Jeff?
I was in Somalia in 1981,
Okay, that's a long time ago.
working in a refugee camp with a medical team there. I
Okay,
came to Ghana in 2014 the first time. I was here for several months, and I've been returning to Ghana yearly since then.
okay,
I didn't come to Ghana to live until late 2020. So I've been here since December of 2020. It's now mid-April of 2021.
sure.
So this is the trip in which I established residence.
Okay,
Even though
okay,
I had residence before, house with a family, with one of the families that I know here, I've always lived with the same family, same neighborhood that I became a part of. My wife and I established our own residence here this year, several months.
okay. Did you have any immigration hassles moving in with for residents and so on and so forth? Was that all easy for you?
Not had any immigration hassle, and I haven't made any attempts at immigrating. I actually am satisfied with my American citizenship.
Terrific,
Uh, I don't
terrific.
have a goal at this time, and of course that could change, but I don't have a goal of becoming a Ghanaian citizen. What I do have a
Sure.
goal of doing is learning what I can and cannot do as a non-citizen. As an African American, there are still ways to do things here. Those ways are well
Okay.
established, those ways are legal. And so I'm
Mm.
committed to learning those ways along with my wife, who is a Ghanaian. What can we do with the status that I have now?
That you have. Okay,
Yes.
okay. Let's get over into the actual coffee house now. Whereabouts is it? I've heard
Uh,
Koto Krava being mentioned, but I have no idea where you actually are. Where are you?
okay. Okay, I'll just draw a verbal picture for you that'll be so clear that even though you may not have been to this area, you'll be able to find it.
Okay,
The biggest landmark here in Cape Coast is the place that's called the Cape Coast Castle and
got
Dungeons.
it,
It
got it,
is a former site of a prison and a dungeon for slaves who were being captured, had been captured, and were being shipped out to what they called the New World back then.
got
Well,
it.
that landmark is right up the hill from the coffee shop. So from the
Okay,
from the castle, you just come right down the hill. And
Yes,
right
yes.
at the bottom of the hill, which is about a block and a half,
Okay.
you'll come to a place called the Orange Beach Resort. It's a very, very visible. We're opposite the Orange Beach Resort, right across the street from it. So
Okay.
if you make it to Cape Coast Castle, which anyone can find with any taxi driver, you are a block and a half away from Cape Coast Coffee House.
Got it. Got it. Terrific. So, why should people come there though, Jeff? Is coffee a thing now in Ghana? I mean, I'm a huge coffee pal, but
Yes.
when I was in Ghana, I always used to be a little bit on my own. Mum would make sure that my coffee supplies were laid on, and so on and so forth. But it wasn't a big thing. But I happen to be a coffee guy, and I'm not a huge beer guy, that sort of thing.
Yes. Well, right away, two reasons come to mind right away for me for reasons people might enjoy coming to Cape Coast Coffee House. Okay,
Yeah.
for people who are traveling in Ghana as tourists, and
Okay.
also people who have moved to Ghana from other parts of the world
Yeah.
where they have been accustomed to drinking coffee. We offer something that is not very common in Ghana. Our coffee, the coffee we serve is made from coffee beans, fresh coffee beans,
Right.
grown here in
Terrific.
Ghana, ground
Mm-hmm.
here in Ghana. We grind them by hand daily. So for people who are accustomed to drinking
Fresh
freshly
coffee.
ground coffee from beans, we are a great resource for that kind of coffee. So that
Tell
includes
me, is there
travelers.
anybody else who's in that business in Cape Coast? You could be the only one,
I'm the only
apart from
one that
people's
we know
homes.
of. Yes, yes. Right now, we are the only ones in Cape Coast that we know of who are selling coffee, coffee beans, fresh ground. I'll grind your beans right at your table, okay? Right at your table. I will
Awesome.
ground your
Awesome.
beans.
Awesome. No, I like that.
So,
I like that a
so
lot. So where'd you
mhm.
get the beans from? And there must be Ghanaian coffee beans, right?
The beans are grown here in what is called the Volta region.
Okay.
It's one of the agricultural regions central Ghana, and it's the
Hmm.
coffee beans are grown there. There are coffee roasters and brokers who buy the coffee from the grower, ship it into Accra, and they roast the coffee to different levels of darkness or
Strength.
lightness.
Got it.
And then
Got
I
it.
buy from coffee growers. So the
Okay.
growers, not growers, but roasters and
Hmm.
brokers. They are my source. And
Got
the
it.
growers are the source of the coffee from the Volta
Got
region.
it. In the Volta region. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So what do
I
you
want to go
think?
back quickly, quickly
Sure.
to answer the last part of your other. Why would people come to our coffee shop? Many Ghanaians, even
Mhm.
most Ghanaians, do not know that Ghana grows coffee. And so many Ghanaians are tea drinkers and have never drank coffee before. And those who have usually only had instant coffee. Our
Got
coffee
it.
from fresh beans is a new experience for people. And so we are inviting Ghanaians to come in and enjoy our coffee, try our coffee, experience our coffee. And so that's another reason for people to come. We want local people to come in and have this Ghanaian grown, fresh bean, fresh ground coffee experience also. Thank you.
And pick up the coffee habit. Well, look,
Yes,
that's lovely. You're a Californian, man. I mean, was it from Oakland, Frisco area?
yes, yes,
Yeah. Okay.
yes,
So I mean, there's a huge tradition of coffee drinking there.
yes, there
What do
is.
you make of our beans in Ghana?
Okay, there are two major kinds of coffee beans in the world, Arabica and Robusta. Most of the
Right.
coffees we're familiar with in coffee culture internationally, worldwide, are Arabica beans.
Got it.
Arabica beans are really fine coffees that come from Brazil, Colombia, Ethiopia, Kenya, Uganda. Okay,
Right.
that type of bean will not grow in Ghana. The Robusta bean is usually used to make instant coffee, and it's considered to be inferior in taste to the Arabica. Well,
How dare they?
The
How
Ghanaian
very
government,
dare they? Go on.
the Ghanaian government is committed and has a program to breed and improve the taste and the quality of the Robusta bean that grows here in Ghana. So we have a bean that we so far have gotten nothing but compliments on. The country is committed to increasing the quality both for domestic consumption and also for export to more than just the instant coffee market that they usually transform it into. So we've got, these beans are good. There are some differences, some subtle differences between this bean and an Arabica bean, but it tastes just as good as many of the Arabicas that I've had.
Okay, so you recommend it then, Jeff? For a
I
man with high
recommend it.
standards, you reckon this stuff, our beans in Ghana are good?
I'm still drinking it, and if I didn't like it, I would not be drinking it. We have customers now, after being open for about a month, we have people who return for coffee. I'd like to mention at this point that we offer food. My wife makes a line of fruit juice, tropical fruit juices that are absolutely delicious. Food offerings. Our spring rolls are just out of this
Got my
world.
attention. You
Yes,
have
she
got my
makes.
attention. What does
Yes.
she put? What does she put in the spring rolls, Jeff?
She puts probably the same ingredients as everyone else, but she seasons them in a way that is her own way of seasoning them. You know, vegetables are the main ones that she does. They have cabbage, they have bell peppers, they've got carrots, onions, they've got the regular things. But her spices bring this product together. Her way of making the shell that goes around it and her way of cooking it brings it together in such a way that they are famous and people seek them out and buy them by the dozens from us. Really good spring rolls.
Okay, so what have you got going? Did you have a takeaway market there, Jeff? Or do people come along and buy, Amina's spring rolls? Like, well, okay, we'll take a dozen of them for the party at the house tonight, or something like that. Or do they come and sit down, buy the coffee, and eat?
Okay, yes, and also yes. Many people come, sit down, and enjoy the spring rolls. We also have customers who come and buy a dozen, 40, 50 at a time, and they take them home. They freeze them and they cook them. They do the final frying at home. She also boxes, and also people who are having parties and events, they buy them on a catering basis. So in that case,
Got
it
it.
can be a much larger order. So
Okay.
we also cater events with the spring
So,
rolls and
so
some of the other foods.
okay, Jeff, so I can see the chairman is prompting you from beyond your screen over there. But tell me, so you supply these things, parboiled, so for those who want to go and freeze them at home and cook them later, and you supply them, ready cooked and ready to eat, say for the gig at home, the engagement party, the little soiree. Well, these days we're locked down, but when it's open, you will get those. Jeff, don't you dare eat one in front of me. I will die. I will want one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'll
You're
send you
about to
one.
say,
I'll send you one.
bless you. Bless you. You're so kind.
You know,
You're making me hungry. It's the way you described the contents and the seasoning. We're very big on seasoning in Ghana. Everybody has a signature when it comes to seasoning.
so we can also make them with chicken and beef. But you've been my Facebook friend for a while, so you know that even from California, I like going to restaurants and eating and showing pictures of beautiful food.
Right.
I have a way of describing food that can make people hungry, and I love using that ability to help people choose to enjoy my wife's products. I
Oh,
love that ability that I have.
I'm loving it, Jeff.
Yes.
I'm loving it. So,
I'm
so
not.
I got to
I'm not
ask.
ashamed of it. I'm not ashamed of
I'm sure she isn't either. Tell me,
it.
Jeff. So, what about the collateral bits of running the business, like the staff? I mean, how big are you over there? This sounds like quite a small
Mhm.
home run business with your hands on it, you and your wives. I've seen pictures of you and Amina kind of milling, grinding the coffee in a pestle and mortar,
Yes.
which I
Yes.
thought was wow, you know.
Yes.
Added a
Yes.
personal touch. But what about staff? Do you have staff to help you out and so on?
At this point, we've only been open for a month, and so we're doing
Oh,
most of the
okay.
work ourselves.
Got it.
There has been work on the our building and the property that we're on that we've had to hire, people to come in and do.
Okay.
Additionally, we have a son, and our son also works there with us when he's not in school,
Okay.
and he helps out. So at this point, it's just been the three of us, and it's been since it opened up. When we go, when we're there, which is daily, there's always work to do. There's always plenty of work to do, and it's kept us busy for the last month. Staff, we have talked about, but we're not yet at the point that we're ready to hire. We don't feel we need it quite yet. And we don't know who it would be quite yet, but it is something that we hope we will grow into in the near future. We have to grow into that.
Okay. I've got that. I was going to ask you some questions about business growth and so on, but you're really, really, really at the startup phase. And actually, those who come and taste your food will probably get the most personalized treatment they ever will get at any time of your business's lifetime. But
Yes.
let me put you in a position now as the Commissioner for Business Development in Cape Coast or the Central Region. Tell me three things you could do to facilitate the growth of enterprises like yours.
Three things that I could do, or three things that could be done.
If you were the Commissioner for Business
Oh, okay.
Development,
Okay.
I
So,
mean, what three things could they do to ease your life, to ease the process of setting up the enterprise, getting it up and flying, hopefully to provide jobs to other people and a livelihood to the proprietor?
okay, so that last statement you made is very, very important to me. One of the things that I would do would be to set up enterprises small that could grow, that would allow us to access some of the supplies that we need from local sources rather than having to buy them from places that import them from other countries, whether it's China, UK, or US, or Korea, or Brazil. For example, coffee filters, just a plain coffee filter that we use to do our coffee pour overs. We pour it through a paper filter.
Got
Well,
it.
though, as far as we know, those filters are not made in Ghana. If they are, they're not available in Cape Coast. So why not? It's paper. Ghana has wood. I mean, the country's full of wood. Wood is made of paper. Paper's made of wood or bamboo. So there's other supplies that we need, machines that are used to process coffee, roast it, grind it, heat it up. They're made is locally made in the country. So the one thing I would do is to build support industries that job in general, including processing cocoa, which is a large industry in Ghana, but it's only grown here and processed outside the country. What else would I do? Number two, facilitate communication between potential markets for Ghanaian products in other African countries and in other countries internationally. I'm not saying it's not already being done, but I would do more of it. And I would especially also, number three, facilitate communication and opportunity between Ghanaian people, African people, and the diaspora. I think that we have a historical connection, a cultural connection, and an ability to communicate with each other that would allow us to do things together in some ways that we've never done before. The Americans and the British communicate with each other often very, very well at the business level and at the corporate level. I
Well,
think
culturally, they're so well connected. I mean,
they are.
they're cousins of each other, really.
Yeah, yeah. And China communicates with the whole world as far as business and enterprise and industry are concerned. I'd like to see more of that occur between African Americans, Afro-Brazilians, Afro-Caribbeans, the African diaspora, and the
Got it.
continental Africans.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Jeff, I'm going to hop over now onto Africa and the way of life there.
Yeah,
It's always terrific to get a, a person's perspective because, I live here in England all the time and I take many things for granted because
yeah,
I'm in England. And I'm always fascinated by the comments people make, say my African family members, about the things we do in England. And, they say things and I'm like, wow, isn't that amazing that, you got that insight. This isn't about advising anybody of anything, but I want to start, for example, with your notion of work-life balance. Today is your only day off in the week, and kind of you're working. I mean, because you're doing media for your company, but hopefully enjoyably. But what's your position on work-life balance?
Uh, first of all, in terms of work-life balance, it's always been my desire to divide my work life and my home life in half. Work 3.5 days a week, have 3.5 days to my personal life. That's always been what I've wanted. And there's times in my life when I've achieved that. However, here in Ghana, there are people who work a standard business week, 5 days
Yeah.
on, 2 days off. But
Mm.
there are millions of people who work 6 or 7 days a week. They don't get
Professor.
that time off, and their days can be very, very long. I um, I am just an advocate of I'm an advocate of having a very, very active and present home life or life, non-corporate life, non-work life. For me, part of that is because I have hobbies. I have hobbies. I like to travel. I like to do crafts. I like to explore wherever I am. So I have other things that I would like to do. And some of those things are just as important to me as making money. I'm actually willing to make less money in order to have a more interesting life.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
and so that's something that I create myself. So I cannot speak for anyone else. Many people have such lives that they have to work as much as possible in order to make ends meet, in order to survive. And for
It is what
people
it
who
is.
have
It's a
to,
reality. Yeah.
yeah, for people who have to work that much to survive, I'm just happy that they have work. I'm just
Sure.
very happy that they have work to do, you know?
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what about when it comes to the future? You mentioned about um, we in Africa connecting with people of African origin in the diaspora more.
Yes.
What do you think is the future of the diaspora's relationship with Africa, based on your experience? Because you've lived in the diaspora for most of your life. Well, how do you
Okay.
see that future panning out? How's it going to go?
Okay, so I feel that the relationship between continental Africans and the diaspora is only beginning to awaken. I see those of us who are here now living in Africa, working in Africa, doing business in Africa. I actually see us as pioneers. I actually see us as the first wave, the front line. And I think that these relationships are going to grow. Uh, we've been excluded from many. We've been excluded from many levels and many parts of society in the European world. There are parts of it that we've not, for a long time, were not able to marry into, to work into, to get educated into, to attend. There's many areas of life in Europe that we've been excluded from. And I
Absolutely, yeah.
see here for us in Africa as African Americans and diasporans a willingness to include us in a way that Europe never did. I'm not saying that it is seamless. I'm not saying it's not without challenges, but I'm saying that we're not excluded because of our skin color, and that was a big reason that we were excluded in the past in Europe and also in Asia. So I believe that there is a tremendous potential
Right.
for diasporans and Africans to work together, to marry, to do business, to do exchanges, to do cultural things, to do educational products. Absolute, and it's only beginning. It's only being birthed right now.
You say that so eloquently, Jeff. Um, what about the pandemic? What's happening? I mean, if you've been there in the past few months, you will have experienced the lockdown in Ghana, the restrictions on business, how it's affected people's lives, and also the money in their pockets. How have you experienced the pandemic in Ghana?
The pandemic in Ghana, in some ways, has looked like the pandemic in the U.S. in that people are wearing masks in buildings that provide services to large numbers of people. People are asked to social distance. Um,
Buildings like what? You mean offices, banks, that sort of thing?
Stores, banks,
Stores, yeah,
government buildings,
yeah, gotcha.
and in other places where people are required to stand in lines or stand in queues,
Mm,
people are encouraged to socially distance each other with each
mm,
other and to
mm,
wear masks. And a lot of
mm,
people do. But also a lot of people don't. There's probably less mask wearing and less social distancing than there is in the UK and than there is in the US.
okay.
So as far as the lockdown is concerned, I did not experience the lockdown probably as harshly as people who are native to this area, because I don't know. In some ways, I'm still a traveler. In many ways, I'm
Okay.
still a foreigner. And
Yeah,
many of
yeah,
the
yeah.
services that people require that I don't necessarily require, those services have not been denied to me. So for me, it's not been so uncomfortable. And it wasn't uncomfortable for me in the U.S. either, because I'm retired.
Got
My
it.
job did not shut down. The
Right,
stores that
right,
I use did not
right,
close.
right.
And many of the services that I need, I don't need many. So for me, as a retired person, it's not been very difficult. More
Okay.
challenging for other people who work jobs that were closed down. That is
Yeah,
the area
yeah,
that I think really
yeah.
affected people the most.
Sure,
No
sure.
income. You know?
Right,
Mhm.
right. How have you thought about Africa's response? I mean, maybe you can talk more about Ghana's response to things like the vaccination and so on. I mean, do you have a view on the amount of research and development we do ourselves? Because what I happen to know is that I went to school with a lot of them. Well, we got some incredibly smart, incredibly brilliant technologists, medical technologists, scientists, and so on. Uh, A lot of them are here in the UK. Many of them are over there in America. Um, what's your view on why we haven't done any kind of apparent research into native cures, traditional cures, or even vaccines in Africa? Because I mean, pandemics affect us like the next people.
I really can't speak on that. I don't know why. The only thing I can say is that I feel that some of that type of research
Yeah,
has to be done before we have pandemics, so
of
that
course,
we have
of course.
baselines that we can go to.
Okay,
When these large pharmaceutical companies started working on a vaccine, they're building on many decades of developing vaccines.
right.
I feel that we could develop some herbal, some traditional medical baselines to start from. And maybe they are already here, but I can't really speak on that, because
Got
I
it,
don't know
got it,
definitively what the research is.
got it, got it.
Mhm.
Okay, so finally, I mean, our time is kind of running on. Let me have a look and see where we are.
Yes.
Jeff, um, what do you think is the future of people of African origin? I mean, you experience your life in the States. By the way, today, I think that Minneapolis had some problems. again, because a young black man was shot by the police at a time on a traffic stop when Derek
Yeah.
Chauvin's trial is still in play, and
Yes.
there've been some kind of pretty vigorous demonstrations and so on.
Yes.
How do
Yes.
you see the evolution of our future going forward? You know a bit about it in Africa. You know a lot about it in the United States of America. Do you have a
Yeah.
point of view on that?
Yes, I have a point of view on that, and when I give my point of view, I see it as just my point of view. I'm not speaking
Absolutely. Sure, sure,
on
sure.
behalf of any group, and I'm not
Yeah,
speaking on behalf of any philosophical system. First of all, even though we don't talk about it as much, I feel that we've already made tremendous progress in the last 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. I think we've made tremendous progress. When I was young in the 1950s and 60s, African Americans did not travel to Africa in large numbers. When I was young in the 1950s and 60s, African countries were not yet independent of their, colonial ties. Therefore, Africans did not travel in large numbers to America either. So I think we've come a long way. For me, okay, this is my take on it.
go
A lot of people think that we should, Africanize our thinking. I'm an advocate of Africanization of our thinking is fine, but I think that so much of what we were denied as Black people in the West was just basic human things. And so I would like to see us broaden our sense of humanity, broaden our global sense, broad, broaden our sense of being part of the global
family.
community as
Mm,
well as part of the African community.
mm,
But
mm.
I don't think that just Africanizing our thinking is a stopping point. I think it's a starting point that we grow from into a broader sense of ourselves as part of the human family. And I think that that's happening. It's happening with me, it's happening with you, and what we are doing today. And I think because of interaction through the internet, it's happening at a speed now that we could never have imagined before.
Absolutely.
It is
And I
already,
don't think anything can stop it. I don't think
yes,
anything can hold it back or stop it.
yes, yes, yes.
Okay, Jeff, you've got me now thinking about your spring rolls, even more than the coffee, which is a shame because it's affecting my concentration.
Yes,
However,
yes.
it's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you today, and
Thank
I
you.
wish you every success with with
Thank
with,
you.
with your venture in Cape Coast
Thank you.
and your
Thank you.
happiness, living in Ghana. Please extend our very warmest regards to Amina,
Yes,
the chairman, and I hope all goes well and stay healthy, of course. Thanks
yes.
for joining us.
Thank you for talking to me. For anybody who's listening to this broadcast, thank
Yeah,
you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you're
yeah,
in Ghana, in Cape Coast, please stop by and say hello and mention the video. I hope that this video extends far and wide, and people are able to see it and come here and join us in enjoying life in West Africa.
awesome. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank
See
you.
you again.
Thank you. See you again. Talk soon.
Bye.
Bye
Sure.
bye.
Bye.
Bye.